Today is Tuesday, June 13th. We're talking about the next big step in former President Trump's classified documents case, what to expect from his first hearing inside a federal criminal court, and the protests planned for outside. Also, a first-of-its-kind trial, a group of young people is suing Montana's government for not protecting them from climate change. Plus, a new owner for the Golden Globes, the end of an era for one of the most successful game shows in history, and the big celebrations for one team's first-ever NBA championship. Those stories and more news to know in today's episode. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Former President Trump is gearing up for a history-making court appearance today. He's in Florida for the first hearing relating to dozens of felony charges filed last week. Remember, he's charged with mishandling national security secrets and for getting in the way of government officials when they were trying to get classified documents back from him. Prosecutors say the docs he stored had information about nuclear programs, defense and weapons capabilities, a Pentagon attack plan, and more. They say if the information had been exposed, it would have put members of the military and confidential sources at risk. Trump told Fox News he will plead not guilty today, saying the charges are evidence of, quote, election interference at the highest level, referring to the fact that he's running for president again. Trump has insisted he did nothing wrong and is now encouraging his supporters to protest at the Miami courthouse where today's hearing is being held, though he's asking for them to be peaceful. That said, some of his backers have portrayed the case against him as an act of war, and they've called for retribution. So Miami police say they'll be ready for anything with the help of state and federal authorities. After today's hearing, Trump is expected to fly back to New Jersey for his first major fundraiser of his 2024 presidential campaign. He'll also be giving a speech from his golf club there to address supporters. No matter what happens with this case or other ongoing criminal investigations involving him, Trump says there are no circumstances that would convince him to drop out of the presidential race. A separate investigation into classified documents found at President Biden's home and office is still underway, though for now he's also planning to stay in the race. Nearly 3,000 miles away, another court case is making history in Montana. A group of young people between the ages of 5 and 22 are suing their home state. They say Montana has a constitutional obligation to protect people like them from climate change. But they say state officials are not meeting that obligation since they're pursuing oil, gas, and coal development. They also say the state is not doing enough to stop smoke from worsening wildfires or to alleviate drought that's causing rivers to dry up. Montana is fighting these allegations, though. The AP says the state is expected to argue that extreme climate conditions have existed for centuries and that overall Montana accounts for just a small fraction of greenhouse gas emissions. State leaders also say fossil fuel investments provide jobs and tax revenue on top of meeting Montana's energy needs. So they don't plan on limiting the industry much more anytime soon. It will be up to a judge to decide what comes next. For example, nothing could change, or she might force state officials to consider climate impacts in future policy decisions or something else. Experts say this case could set a legal precedent in several other states. The Montana trial is expected to last 2 weeks. This week, NATO kicked off the biggest air exercise in the alliance's history. 24 NATO countries and Japan are taking part in 2 weeks of military drills in Germany. The training includes more than 250 aircraft and 10,000 personnel. Planning started back in 2018, but now that fighting has escalated in Ukraine, American officials involved in the NATO exercise say it's especially important to send a message about the alliance's strength. Now, to be clear, it's not about training militaries to attack Russia. It's all about defense. The U.S. House is expected to get back to voting today. Remember, business came to a standstill last week because a group of conservative lawmakers voted against bringing votes to the floor in protest. They were not happy with the final debt limit deal, mostly saying it did not cut enough spending. Well, they've been talking with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy over the last few days, and he promised to keep them more in the loop during future negotiations. Now they'll apparently stop their protest, at least for now, while they work on cutting spending in other ways. But some of the conservative lawmakers say they're willing to stop business again if they need to, all while the usual intense debates are still happening between Republicans and Democrats. Stay tuned. For the first time, the Denver Nuggets are NBA champions. They beat the Miami Heat 94-89 in Game 5 of the NBA Finals at their home arena in Denver. They were led by Nuggets center Nikola Jokic. He led the league in points, rebounds, and assists in the playoffs. And last night, he was voted most valuable player of the NBA Finals. Though he got a lot of help from his teammates, including star point guard Jamal Murray. Jokic and Murray are actually the first pair of teammates to score 1,000 points combined in a single postseason. Now that the Nuggets have won it all, championship shirts, hats, jerseys, hoodies, and other gear is on sale. And on Thursday, the city of Denver will be holding a championship parade. We have much more news for you still ahead, but first, a quick break for our sponsor, HelloFresh. If you're feeling stuck in a recipe rut and you want to switch things up this summer, check out HelloFresh, where you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. HelloFresh has options to please even the pickiest eaters, and I like that they have delicious but convenient meals that will help when you need dinner, like now. I recently tried their new fast and fresh options that are ready in just 15 minutes or less. For example, we made their chicken and tomato grain bowls with garlicky white sauce and lemon. It was so good. My whole family ate it up, and it felt like a breeze. So this summer, you can spend less time meal planning and prepping because HelloFresh sends you these pre-portioned ingredients that make it easier, faster, and less wasteful to make a meal at home. And by the way, Green Chef is now owned by HelloFresh, so no matter which you choose, there's something for everyone. Go to HelloFresh.com/newsworthy16 and use code newsworthy16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/newsworthy16 and use that code newsworthy16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. The biggest banking deal since the 2008 financial crisis is now complete. Financial giant UBS officially bought out its longtime rival, Credit Suisse, nearly 3 months after the Swiss government arranged a $3.3 billion deal to combine the two banks. This means for the first time in 167 years, Credit Suisse no longer exists independently. And starting today, Credit Suisse will no longer be traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Whereas UBS now has full access to the Credit Suisse business, and it's taking on a leading position in key markets, now overseeing $5 trillion in assets. In other words, UBS now has a balance sheet roughly double the size of the entire Swiss economy. Still, UBS says there are high stakes involved in the deal. It flagged tens of billions of dollars in potential costs and benefits to the new combined company. And thousands of job cuts are expected during this transitional period. Really, there could be a lot of uncertainty for employees, clients, and regulators in the next few months. But UBS says it plans to lay out full, detailed integration plans for each business unit by the end of the year. America's largest bank is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to settle a lawsuit over its ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Women who accused Epstein of abuse sued JPMorgan Chase, saying it overlooked red flags about sex trafficking because Epstein was a valuable client. The now disgraced financier was a JPMorgan client from 1998 to 2013. From 2013 to 2018, Epstein was a client at Deutsche Bank, which agreed to pay $75 million to end a similar lawsuit last month. JP Morgan's settlement is worth even more, $290 million. The bank said in a statement that looking back, any association with Epstein was a mistake. And quote, "We would never have continued to do business with him if we believed he was using our bank in any way to help commit heinous crimes." Though the judge in the case says JP Morgan's internal systems did flag potential crimes long before any allegations were made public. JP Morgan is now suing its own former executive, Jez Staley, saying he's really responsible for covering up Epstein's actions. Staley hasn't said much, but his lawyers say those claims are baseless. To be continued. One of Hollywood's oldest and most watched award shows is getting new ownership for the first time in 80 years. Dick Clark Productions and Eldridge Industries just bought the Golden Globes. They're taking over for the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, which is now shutting down. The HFPA's reputation has suffered over some ethical issues and lack of diversity. Now, Dick Clark Productions and its partners will plan, host, and produce the award show. And a new group will be formed to vote on and present the awards. The exact terms of the sale have not been made public, but reports say the proceeds will move into a new foundation that's apparently going to keep up entertainment-related charitable giving. The next Golden Globes are on the schedule to kick off next year's award season, as usual, in January. A television mainstay has decided to hang up his microphone. Pat Sajak is retiring from his job as Wheel of Fortune host after more than 4 decades. It's not clear yet who might take over for him, but whoever it is will have some pretty big shoes to fill. Since Sajak first signed on in 1981, Wheel of Fortune has become a pop culture phenomenon, spawning board games, toys, clothes, and a spin-off show. The show itself still draws roughly 8 million viewers every day. 76-year-old Sajak will keep hosting for one last season, then continue as a consultant for 3 years. His final season begins in September. Amazon's Freebie is getting some new content from a couple of Hollywood's most recognizable brands. Like the name suggests, Freebie is actually free, supported by ads instead of subscription fees. Well, now it has new deals with Warner Bros. Discovery and MGM. It includes 23 new channels dedicated to movies and shows like The Pink Panther, Green Acres, Cake Boss, and Say Yes to the Dress. Freebie also has deals with studios like Lionsgate for movies and shows like Anger Management and Ghost Hunters. And it has some original content, like Judge Judy's new show, Judy Justice. Meanwhile, other studios are looking to sell more content to free ad-supported services like Freebie. Already this year, Roku and Tubi sealed deals for shows like Westworld and The Bachelor. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, thanks to our sponsor. I was intrigued by the nutrition supplement AG1 for a while, so I was really excited to try it. And I was surprised at how beneficial it is so quickly. It was much faster than I expected that I noticed a difference, and I really wish I would have started drinking AG1 even earlier. It's now part of my morning routine. It's just 1 scoop mixed with water. It helps me save time, and I can take it on the go whenever needed. I've really noticed it helps me feel energized. I'm not reaching for coffee or tea nearly as much as I used to, and I don't need to take a million different pills each day. Just 1 daily scoop of AG1 covers my day's nutritional basis and supports my long-term gut health. We're talking 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food-sourced ingredients. I like to add ice and a splash of lemon juice to mine, and it's really nice tasting and easy to drink. So if you're looking for a simpler, effective investment for your health, try AG1. And get 5 free AG1 travel packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/newsworthy. That's drinkag1.com/newsworthy. Check it out. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. Today's trivia question is, who was the world's first billionaire? You can play along with us in our weekly roundup email that comes out each Friday. Simply sign up to get it at thenewsworthy.com/email or find the link in today's episode notes. As for last week's trivia question, what mammals are able to truly fly on their own? The answer is bats. And there's a lot of them. About 1/5 of all mammals on Earth are bats. And they can be found almost everywhere. Grasslands, woodlands, wetlands, and tropical rainforests. Just not extreme deserts and polar regions. There are more than 1,100 different bat species, and they can all fly. Bats fly pretty low, though, so they can feed on insects at the same level. That's one way in which bats can help humans, getting rid of the same bugs that destroy crops. In fact, recent studies say bats can eat enough pests to save more than $1 billion a year in crop damage and pesticide costs, just in the American corn industry alone. Bats can also pollinate plants, disperse seeds and nuts, and keep cave ecosystems thriving. All right, thank you so much for joining us and listening today, and for helping to spread the word about the Newsworthy. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.